Hey y'all, Bobby Lovell again here today. Time for another one of those Sunday Fun Day stories. Happens to be Father's Day, so happy Father's Day to all you fathers out there. So of course it wouldn't be appropriate to have a Father's Day story without a story about my father. You know, probably in my opinion, about the second greatest man that ever walked the face of the earth, only because Jesus walked on water and was perfect, and we'll serve a risen Savior, but I thank the world of my father and the example that he set before all of his boys to live a godly life. As I've told you before, you know, we had the Nordyke place called Nubbin Ridge. We had it leased for 35 years that we ran cows and hunted on. And that little place down there had Greenbrier Creek running right through the big middle of it. And if it was a wet spring or any time we had a lot of rain, we could not get, when we first leased the place, we couldn't get across that creek in most times when it was wet. Daddy never had a four-wheel drive pickup. Most of the time, you know, it's just an old regular cab, two-wheel drive, long bed pickup that Daddy had. And so they'd come through the Baird area there on the railroad tracks, replacing a bunch of cross ties, and Daddy got a hold of a whole bunch of cross ties. He and I went down behind the house there at Baird and picked them up right off the side of the railroad. And Daddy decided, I'm going to make a cross tie bridge. We'll lay across that Greenbrier Creek there at one place where we crossed it most of the time. We had about 3 or 4 different crossings, but at least this was one that we could get across if the creek was muddy or even running or whatever. And so we was going to build this cross tie bridge. And so what we did is we'd lay one cross tie down and we would wire it, run the wire all the way around it in about 3 or 4 different places, and we'd butt the next one up to it, and we'd wire it, and we'd butt the next up to it. And the creek wasn't very wide, but it probably took us 10, maybe 12 cross ties to lay them down there in the creek bed and wire them together and made us a little bridge. Well, it wasn't, you know, too many days before we had our first good rain after we had put that bridge in. And boy, Daddy was so excited to go down and see how well that bridge worked and drive across the creek where we couldn't in the past. And we get down there. And, you know, you've all had those moments to where the first thing that comes across your mind, you kind of blurt that out your mouth. Now, Daddy wasn't one to curse. I never heard my dad say a curse word in all of his life. But we get there. The creek was still running a little bit, and that bridge was totally gone. And the first thing out of my daddy's mouth was, somebody done stole my bridge. And I'm kind of looking around and got, no, Dad, they didn't steal it. It washed down the creek. It's down here, tied up in all the brush down here. But it was really kind of amusing for my dad to just think, oh, somebody walked up here and stole a bridge that had 10 or 12 cross ties in it. And if you've ever tried to pick up on them cross ties, them things are heavy. But the water kind of pushed it down the creek about 25, 30 yards. And we had to unwire that thing and take it back up in the creek and wire it back in and get it all fixed. And then we kind of anchored it down that time. So from that point on, that old bridge never did wash away, and it served its purpose many times as we had to get across it in either Daddy's pickup or the old tractor I've told you about or whatever. But hey, I hope you guys have a wonderful Father's Day. Spend time with your fathers. Don't take them for granted. I miss mine every day still, and so take time to spend this day with your fathers and give them a call if you can't go see them. And remember, you guys be sweet. I'll be pretty. I love you, and God bless.